And a U.S. delegation is meeting with Mexico's president today as Washington tries to curb surging migration. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has arrived in Mexico City. He's expected to urge President Manuel Lopez Obrador to limit the number of migrants reaching the U.S. border. Lopez Obrador has said he is willing to help, but wants the U.S. to improve relations with other countries in the region, as well as increase aid. Now, the issue is becoming a big political problem for U.S. President Joe Biden as he approaches the next year's election. As many as 10,000 people a day are being detained trying to cross the southern U.S. border.
Migrants stranded in northern Mexico, hoping to get to the U.S. border by train. For them, a wagon is a better option than attempting to reach the border by bus. They say Mexican immigration officials keep pushing them back to southern Mexico.
They get us off for buses. If we are about to reach the border, we are returned without any apparent reason. They demand that we get migration documents, but they are not valid because they tear them up in our faces. How are we supposed to move forward?
This is all really hard. I've been doing this for 3 months. I fell last night trying to get on a train to go on with my and my children's journey. They've had fever and flu due to the cold weather. We no longer have water and we don't have any idea when we will leave.
This month, the U.S. briefly shut some international rail routes between its southern state of Texas and Mexico because of rising number of migrants crossing. As many as 10,000 migrants a day were arrested at the U.S.'s southwestern border in December. This 6,000-strong group are walking along a highway watched by the Mexican National Guard. Many migrants and their families come from Central and Southern America. They are fleeing poverty and violence and are hoping the Mexican authorities will allow them to continue their trek north.
We ask them to let us pass freely to go to the United States. We go there to work and our children to study. It's all we want.
Because we are looking to improve ourselves, to have a better quality of life. Because in our country, the situation is getting worse and worse, and we are only looking for an opportunity.
After a months-long and dangerous route, the U.S. border fence is in sight. But with pressure building in the U.S. to block migrants from entering the country, reaching the border may not bring these migrants the better life they had hoped for.
Let's speak to DW correspondent Stefan Simons joining us from our studio in Washington, D.C. Stefan, the U.S. wants to curb irregular migration. What exactly does it want from Mexico, and what can it offer in return?
Well, they want more cooperation from Mexico. And what this cooperation entails is sending people back to the south of Mexico, closing maybe or making it harder for migrants from Venezuela, from other Ecuador, Guatemala, and so on, other Latin American countries to come into Mexico and make it all the way to the Mexico or the U.S.-Mexico border. That also includes really getting control of the railways again and preventing migrants en masse to use those trains to get to the north and to the U.S.-Mexican border. This is why Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Secretary of Homeland Security Mayorkas are in Mexico City today. Remember, just about a year ago, in January 2023, President Biden met with Mexican President Obrador to discuss exactly that. And this year, and they decided actually to really work on those issues, really to curb migration, illegal and legal migration towards the United States. But this year was not very successful in that effort. That is to be sure.
And Stefan, of course, elections coming up in 2024. How important of a topic will this be for Biden's campaign?
It's an important topic. The Biden administration faces fierce criticism, of course, from the Republicans and from the border states, Texas, California, even Southern California, Nevada, Arizona, and those states which really have to face the brunt of migration numbers, of those high numbers daily, 11,000, 12,000 migrants just a few days ago in Eagle Pass, Texas, now 6,000. So this is not sustainable for those communities, and they are livid against the Biden administration. And the Biden administration has to, politically speaking, really improve, specifically if they want to get any points on this for 2024 in the presidential election there. The Republicans know what they're doing if they put their finger in this wound, because it is one for the Biden administration. They have no handle on it. Having said that, of course, please keep in mind the immigration law in the United States hasn't been changed in any way or form fundamentally in decades. So there is no way that just an administration or a president can solve it all with an executive order or just with the flick of the hand or something.
Stefan, thank you for that. That's Stefan Simons in Washington, D.C.